Fight fans, fight fans, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I am live once again. And we have to talk some boxing. It is Tuesday, the 23rd, 2025. You know, my oldest daughter is 25 years old today, so happy birthday, Tweet. Love you always. Let's get to the show. I will let it populate because, let YouTube do their job. If they're going to do it today, we'll find out very soon. If you will, hit the like button as you guys come in. We have to talk about some boxing. We had Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis today, and it was interesting. It was an interesting interaction with those two personalities in the same room, on the same bill, fighting each other. One, a renowned boxer that I think that has a poor way of showing that he's an elite fighter. Then you have another guy that, refuses to go anywhere because he is a showman. He does promote himself. He has a huge following, but he's not, in a lot of people's eyes, regarded to as a boxer. Okay, so that's what we have right now. That's what it's about right now. So, other news, we have Manny Pacquiao trying to come back to the ring. I won't spend a lot of time on that. Manny, for a 45 or 46-year-old man, he did a good job. He'll be 47 December 14th. His birthday is in 1978. And for a 46-year-old fighter, he's looking great. Bars. But does he belong with the elite? Does he belong with guys that could knock his head off? No. With the right type of matchmaking, they can keep him. They can kind of they can shove him along, But understand something. Manny Pacquiao doesn't belong in the game no more. I think he's wasting his good years of being young and able to get out of a sport that made him millions of dollars. I think he's wasting that now in the ring. But of course, we all know that boxing, or you should know that boxing is a very, very addictive sport. You know what I mean? There have been accounts where boxers been in their sleep, just be sleeping and throwing jabs and right hands. When you guys come in, hit the like button. Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis. We'll listen to some of it if you want, but I thought it was cool. I thought it was, Jake does what Jake does, and then, with Gervonta Tank Davis looked pretty pissed off about, he looked pretty pissed off. He didn't look like he was excited. He looked like, hey, man, I'm here for the money. But then he did share to Neymar versus Messi. Oh, wow. I don't know. Maybe Neymar. I don't know. Now we're talking about a different sport here. Because, that's like Nike or Reebok. That's like Floyd or Manny. So I don't know. I don't really know about that. Neymar, I know my times in Brazil, he got very popular, right? So, yeah. Where we at? We have Macon Clemente. We're here to talk about some boxing, Where is AJ? Where is Tyson? People are still trying to push that damn fight. Let me talk about that for a second. Just for a second. AJ fighting Tyson Fury is deader than dead. Now, you may argue with me, and I can understand why. Because we know Tyson Fury is one of those guys that he's one of the biggest BS artist in the game. You know, he is. He's like one of those guys that he'll say, "I'm done. I'm old. I feel bad." You train every day like that, he may come back tomorrow. So I don't know. But it's a shame that it didn't happen. But I think in people may call me crazy for this, but this is my opinion. This is my counterpunch, people. I think AJ calling out Tyson Fury, a man that's retired, is useless. I know they're trying to get that big money fight. I know that what they're trying to do. I know what hold on, let's see. My TC Sports TV. What's up, brother Kurt the Legend? Appreciate you, man. Counterpunch to you, Peter Merengue. Hi. Alice Farrell, Amazon. Okay, so we got King number 1, number 2, and number 3 all in conjunction, people. I know it's been a while since I've been live, man. I've been busy going back and forth, Peter Merengue, and from Kenya in the building. Counterpunch to you, brother. Speaking of African fighters, Ike Ibeabuchi. Now I'll say this about Ike. Ike is in incredibly great shape for 52 years old. I think his struggle is something that should be noted more. 26 years out of the ring and then coming back to the ring, to do something is pretty impressive. However, if he would have looked better against who he fought, it would have been a lot different. AJ fights, win or loss, he is entertaining. Kurt, love watching AJ. Kurt, I love watching AJ fights, win or lose. Well, the problem is AJ doesn't fight like a guy that wants to. That to me, he doesn't fight like a person that's in love with fighting. As far as, hey, I just love the fight and I just want to fight, because it's not sensible. Because he's still marketable. He has 4 losses. 4 losses is not the end of the world. I think 5 is when you're talking about someone that big. Because, see, if he loses again, the first loss was like a oops. The second loss was like a, oh, wow. The third loss was from the same guy, which you can argue that, he got beat by Usyk. Who hasn't beat Usyk? So that's a good point. XK Shops, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. But then the Daniel Dubois fight. The Daniel Dubois fight was a fight that really dropped his stock. His stock dropped tremendously. AJ lost a lot of juice losing to Daniel Dubois. And see, Daniel, what people don't understand about Daniel lost juice before he even lost again. See, Joseph Parker and Daniel Dubois had a scheduled fight for voluntary, but, if the voluntary beats the champion, he becomes the champion. So every time you're a champion and you walk within the squared circle, you're at risk of losing your belt. Okay? There has to be some unforeseen circumstances that are ordained before getting into the ring to keep the belt with you, but not a world title. Okay, it shouldn't be that way. And Daniel beat AJ, and this year it's almost like he took 2 losses. Okay, because he decided to skip out on the Joseph Parker fight. Joseph Parker fought a guy that wasn't even ready, but did it for the money, and that's Bakali. Bakali wasn't even ready, but he took the fight. Joseph Parker did his job, but he really didn't get the credit that I feel that he deserved, because Martin McCauley was looking like a fat slob in there, like he'd been sitting around eating potato chips and popcorn and ho-hos and Twinkies and Snickers and all this stuff. So he really didn't get the credit for it. Meanwhile, Danny Dubois skipped out on the fight. And by the way, people, let me talk about that for a minute. He lost. Danny Dubois lost that day without even fighting. You guys ever heard of Bruce Lee? You guys ever heard of Bruce Lee saying the art of fighting without fighting? How about your boy Bud? Blue Whales. We're going to talk about Bud Crawford here in a second. I got to clear up some stuff that people should know about these other fighters before we talked about the creme de la creme. Danny Dubois lost. He lost a lot of credit that day. You know, I think when people seen those zeros behind the fight purse that he earned, getting his ass whooped by Usyk, I think they understood, but it didn't really change the fact that you skipped out on a fight that you probably could have lost. Because it all goes back to AJ, because AJ's supposed to beat Dubois, bro. But if he had have beat him, he would have, right? So, yeah, AJ lost a lot. Daniel lost a lot. So they're fighters that lost credibility within a year's time. You know, meanwhile, Joseph Parker's fighting Fabio Wardley. Alexander Usyk is facing some scrutiny, but he's not, you know, because he has a lot of supporters that he's gained over the years respectfully. And I get that or whatever, but Danny Dubois getting beat by Usyk, like I told you guys, it wouldn't be a big surprise to me. It wouldn't. What is a surprise to me is what Terrence Crawford did to Canelo Alvarez. Even though I told you guys it was going to do it. You know, I stopped gambling a long time ago. But if I would have picked my choice, I would have actually won a lot of money. I would have won a shitload of money. A whole trough of money, of cash. That's right, a whole trough of cash. There is no lack of heart. AJ went out swinging. Yeah, he did. AJ has more heart than Dubois. We know that. If you guys can't see AJ's heart versus Danny Dubois, and you want to say AJ's chinny instead of saying and showing that he has heart, you're just a hater. You're a fan of someone else, and therefore you have to be hating the other guy. You're a hater still. It doesn't matter who you like, because if you're hating on a fighter just by you liking someone else, you're still a hater. Yeah, you're still a hater because AJ went down 4 times. This man went down, what, 4 or 5 times in the Dubois fight. All it took was Dubois to go down twice, and this motherfucker wasn't getting up. Let that sink in. Dubois was like, nope. And guess what? He did the same shit in the first fight. He did the same exact thing. He went down 1 round, he got up. And really, I think the bell saved him in that round. And then, you know, then Usyk caught him again with a jab, and he went down and didn't get up until the bell was over. So AJ ain't going to do that. AJ would take more shots. It's just, yeah, AJ fucked himself with that. But that's what he admitted, though. But that's why I say, AJ, bro, fight Dubois now. Fight him now. Get your juice back, get your respect back. Show that was kind of something like an Andy Ruiz fight, and move on. Because him just not fighting Daniel now, you know, because he should have beat Daniel. You know, and none of them are champions, so who cares? There's only one champion. One. You know, if you don't include the interim champs, it's only one champion, and his name is Alexander Usyk. So don't say like, well, I'm not fighting Danny Dubois because he's not a champion or doesn't have a belt, and I'm looking for straps. Well, you're looking for one person. Okay, so that kind of makes it look stupid. Nobody wants to see you fight Usyk a third time. So guess what? If you still want to fight, these are your options. So AJ needs to come in, get a rematch with Danny Dubois, fight Danny Dubois. Danny Dubois is turning down fights. Now he's injured too. Now he's playing the injured game too. So, yeah. So, I mean, you can't make this shit up, people. Not Parker's fault that McCauley is a 2-ton tank ass. School of 50 in the building. Counterpunch to you, man. With the wrench, one of my soldados in the game, telling it all the same bars. That is true. It is not Joseph Parker's job to get Martin McCauley in shape. It's not his job. It's Martin's job. And what we learned about Martin McCauley, Billy Nelson, and that side over there, they are some bullshit artists. They talk a lot, but they talk more than they actually do. Because all the talking that they did, all the prepping and the pretending that they did. When I mean pretending, I mean, if you guys can remember pre-February for Martin McCauley, don't you guys remember that? I did videos on Martin McCauley. Martin McCauley, all those little dances he was doing this shit. Remember that little dance he was doing with his waist and shit? All that, he was in the gym. The pad work, the times where he's wrenching out the shirts, all the people that he said ducked him. Remember that? That was after he beat Jared Anderson. So he beat Jared Anderson, and his motive, his narrative was that he's in the gym. He's staying in shape. He's looking great. He's constantly having these fighters run from him. They're avoiding him. They're ducking and dodging and dipping. It's like super dodgeball. Dodge, duck, dip, dash, and dodge. Right? That's what he was saying everybody was doing, but he was supposed to be in the gym. Right? That was his whole thing. If you look at his social media, go back. You got receipts. Go back to Martin McCauley's page, and you'll see how many times he was in the gym. But guess what? Obviously, that was a lie. That was a bald-faced lie. What he was doing, he was going to the gym, but he was going to the gym for about 10 minutes. And I don't know him wringing out the shit with his clothes with the wringing wet sweat. Maybe that was just him going into the steam room. Hell, I could do that. Going into the steam room and trick your body into thinking that it's doing more, up in your heart rate. That doesn't build stamina, though. That just tricks your heart rate. That's like a, what do they call that shit? I forget what they call it, but they call it like it's a warp. It's I forget the name right now. But that's what he was doing. He was tricking his body into doing something, that he was cheating, right? Oh, don't hate on Bud. He's the GOAT. Oh, nobody's hating on Bud. Who's hating on Bud? Kurt, if Usyk isn't injured, I feel he is holding the division hostage at this point. Matisse TV, if he's not injured, that's exactly what he's doing. He's holding on to those belts because I think that he can, because people that are in power are allowing him to do so. Think about it. See, the IBF last year, when he beat Tyson Fury and grabbed and snatched the WBC from him, and the IBF came knocking on his door, and he sent a letter, but he found out that the IBF is not doing what the WBO is allowing him to do now. So he let it go, and he was like, well, which was a smooth move. But then if you think about it, if it was all in a plan, right, to Usyk to fight Daniel again, which I think that could have been the point. How much credit could you give Alexander Usyk for doing something? That's a nice business model, because now he gets to fight with another fighter that has a strap that he gave up. Therefore, he gave it up. That other fighter picked it up. that was in line. And he was in line because he beat Herkovic. Herkovic was in line. Had Herkovic beat Dubois, Herkovic would have got the belt by default, but he lost to Dubois, so Dubois has the belt. You guys, you follow me? So it really wouldn't have mattered to him, but it's not his fault that Dubois tapped the ass of Herkovic either. So you can't say that he knew that Dubois would beat Herkovic, because a lot of people thought Herkovic would beat Dubois, especially us thinking Dubois was a quitter, right? So there you go. But if he decided, like, look, I'm going to get that belt later on, and then, you know, fighting Dubois, which you already made him quit, you know, you can add on the point, though, the fact that he was older, you know, so he wasn't 35 no more. He was, or was he 35? Or was he 36? Yeah, he was 36, right? So he was 36 years of age in 2023. And because it was after his birthday, so he was 36. So, yeah. Usyk is the other GOAT in Bivol. Whoever fights Dubois next will probably get laid out. Well, I think that would, in St. Don, I don't think Daniel's done. I just think in a different way than most people. St. Don, that's true if Daniel can hit him. If Daniel can't hit him, if he can't lay a hand on that fighter and that fighter is able to school him, he's probably going to fucking quit. He doesn't have a desire like that. His desire or his drive only goes so far. Yeah. And still everyone ducking Caballero. Classic car finder. Where the hell is Caballero? Where is Caballero? Like, what's going on with Caballero? Mike Harris. I watched Crawford since he beat Donito Donaire. He's looked great in every fight. Crawford fought Donito Donaire? I've never seen that. Are you sure we're talking about Donito Donaire? Terrence Crawford? Never seen that fight ever. Okay. Kurt, if it was my very winnable, it was a very winnable fight for AJ if he stayed behind the jab and dragged it out to the later rounds, in my opinion. Well, to talk about that fight for a second, a lot of people feel that AJ was pushed. And the question you ask yourself, well, let me finish. He was pushed. He was pressured to do a certain thing, a dramatic thing, and he was pushed to do it early. And regardless of what people say, you can say that Ben said, well, I didn't say go out and do it then, but then you told him that it was only 5 rounds, people. So you were telling him roll the dice in the fucking second or third or fourth round. If he decided to try it in the 5th, was still, in a lot of people's mind or opinion, too early to start doing that. Because you look at AJ and you look at, he took a beating against Vlad. Vlad beat the shit out of AJ. You know, you can say it's fair they beat the shit out of each other, but there was times from rounds 5, the end of 5, 6, 7, 8, all 4 of those rounds, or 3.5, Vlad tapped AJ's ass, and it looked like it. AJ, you seen all those muscles betraying him. You seen him wobble against the ropes. You seen his legs look like limp noodle. He didn't look strong. He looked tired. He looked gassed. He looked fatigued. He looked that way in the Vladimir fight. Okay, he finally started getting his strength back probably rounds 9 and 10. And in 11, he turned it up. But it took him a while to recover. So for Ben Davison telling him to do something that early, knowing or not knowing AJ's inability to heal real quick, was a mistake. I mean, it's just fair to say, I think he tried it too quick. I think he should have said, well, look, avoid the shots of Daniel Dubois. You know what I mean? Him saying, oh, roll the dice, roll the effing dice. If you're telling this man to roll the dice, meaning go for it, like this is Rocky 5, go for it. If you're telling him to do that, that's almost in the same time as hitting the panic button. Like, hey, let's panic. It's fight or flight. You got to do what you got to do right now. Because if you don't, he's going to knock you out. So you got to knock him out. That's almost like you left him no option but to just go for broke. Where a lot of people felt that he could have survived and been back at himself. But, you know, we don't know. You're still talking about it. Okay. Christian Midweed, Cash Patel, brother. All right. Wardley equals Fat Wilder. I wouldn't call Wardley fat, though. You know, I mean, I wouldn't call him fat. I think Frazier's a little bit more chunkier than Fabio Wardley. I thought you would have gambled on Crawford. You know what, though? Here, I'm going to tell you the truth, people. I would have, but I was broke. I didn't have anything. I got a mortgage in another state. I had to pay for it. I have rent where I live. So there you go. So I didn't put up the money for that because I didn't have the money to put up for that. I would have done it if I had the money. Yeah, I would have. Thought you would have gambled on them. So, yeah, I thought I would too. Same guy who was hating on Ryan. Yeah, fuck Ryan Garcia, bro. If you like Ryan Garcia, go to some other channel. Period. I don't like Ryan. I still don't forget what he did. I still don't forget what he said. I still now think he was a cheater. I think he was on the juice. I think he was on the juice because his last fight, he didn't even look the same. He didn't even talk the same. He didn't even act the same. So if you like Ryan Garcia, you're at the wrong channel. I'm sorry. Go to another channel. Just go to another channel. That's fine. Yeah, same guy hating on Ryan. Ryan hating on everybody else. Well, I don't think that Roach's performance was that good. So, you know what I mean? I don't think your performance was that good. You let Rolly Romero, El Cubano, la mitad del Cubano, knock you, beat you up, drop you, and you fought scared ever since the rest of the fight. You luckily he was a friend of Rolly. Rolly was just a friend of his. And everybody overlooked Rolly because, you know, he got knocked out by Javante and then beat by Pitbull and all that. We get that. I know that. You know, and you guys wonder why I don't really talk about, like, the lighter weights a lot. Because a lot of that is, like, it's full of shit. Look at Javante. He's fighting Tank Davis now. I mean, Jake Paul now. That's why I don't really talk about them as much. Because they when I think about it, I think to do a video about it. I did a Javante Tank Davis video just recently, which I'll release tomorrow or later on today. And it gets tiring seeing and hearing from people that do the same shit. And one thing I don't really tolerate is the racism on the channel. I don't tolerate it. So when Ryan, you know, dropped the N-bombs and said he hates Muslims and all that stuff, you know, it's like, look, at some point, I don't care who you are, that you're never above criticism. And I never thought Ryan was that good anyway. I thought he was fast, and I think he had a good left hook. He had, obviously, some type of heart because Cool Hand Luke dropped him. You know what I mean? And that was a good fight. But he came back, caught him with a body shot, and took out Luke. But other than that, I never thought he was that special. I think he quit against Javante when he fought Javante, and that's Javante's biggest win. A drug cheat quitter. I'm sorry. So, I mean, you don't like it, Nico? Go somewhere else. Canelo was Floyd's easiest fight. Okay. WWE fighter. Kurt, I love Crawford. It was a huge calculated risk. Canelo is easy for the top dogs. No, he's easy for a certain style. Now, I'm not going to do that to Canelo because Canelo deserves respect, but I think what people have to understand, styles make the fight, and because they do, the style of Crawford was difficult for Canelo. Why do you think, why do you guys think that Canelo couldn't do that to those fighters like Lara and Floyd. He couldn't do that to those fighters because those fighters didn't give his counterpunching style any weight. The way you counterpunch is you have to anticipate someone else's punches. But if you're not overextending, throwing punches past your front knee, you're not going to give Canelo much to work with. Okay? So there was a little bit of Floyd in there. There was a little bit of Lara being a southpaw in there. There was a lot that you've seen that Crawford was doing that Canelo already had problems with other fighters that were way the fuck up here, elite. Okay, because like Lara was avoided for a reason. Now you got to give Canelo credit for fighting Lara, but Lara, there's a reason where there was no rematch with Lara because he couldn't answer the 1-2-1. He couldn't answer the 1-2-1. That's all Lara was doing, and Canelo did not have an answer for it. 74-inch reach for Lara. What did Crawford have as a reach? 74. Didn't he not? Come on, man. We got to act like, look, that's Canelo's kryptonite, people. Pure boxers. Pure elite boxers that are slick, that can box, that use their legs, lateral movement, and everything in between to avoid punches. The only difference between Crawford used more head movement than someone like Lara. Lara, being a Cuban-style fighter, uses probably 85 to 95% lateral movement versus someone like Crawford or Floyd, definitely. Because Floyd and Crawford, us learning as American fighters know to slip and move and get off the center line. Canelo's a lot faster with his counterpunching ability than most people are. That's why he's able to succeed and drop these bigger guys on the seat of their ass like Munguia, like Balanga, and those cats, because those guys are not as fast. And he knows how to counter, and his timing is good. It just wasn't good as Crawford's. Daniel lost because Daniel was broken before the battle and didn't believe in himself. How didn't he believe in himself? You're right, Kurt. AJ Dubois too. Let's get it on. Let's do it. You driver, you Italian. No, I'm not Italian. Wins Parker Wardley. I believe it's in November, I believe. I want to say, no. It's in October on the 20th, I think. I could be wrong. Kurt, did you see that Tank and Jake press conference? I lost brain cell. Rion in the ring now, neither fish nor fowl. Jake Paul is verbally abusing Tank. Well, I mean, one thing about Jake, he knows how to sell a fight. He knows how to talk some shit. He knows these things, man. He knows these things. Canelo has never been known for his ring technique or footwork. He's a bit, if limited, boxer. I think he's a good boxer. I just don't think he's an elite boxer. I think Canelo is an elite counterpuncher, but he slowed down a bit, just a bit. I've been saying this shit. Because Canelo feels that at the weight that he's at, he doesn't have to throw the punches that he used to. But he doesn't understand the weight that he was at. The Caleb Plant, even the Billy Joe Saunders fight, the Rocky Fielding fight, those punches were landing in shots. He was penetrating those boys. Pause. Right? Kurt, are you sold on Stevenson being the next great of his era? Should be move up to 47. I think Stevenson should do it. If he's claiming to be, because he definitely has the backing, but he hasn't done I'm gonna tell you guys something, man. Stevenson, I think he's very talented. Tio Fimo Lopez, I don't think he. Uh, Tio's good too. I just think something's wrong with Tio. Something's mentally wrong with him. He needs to change the circle of people, the tribe of people that he have around him. He needs to stop and just think about the people for a minute. I have noticed though, when you seen Tio Junior, you haven't seen Senior a lot. Now I hope he's okay. I hope he's not, sick or nothing like that. But maybe he's just kind of branching out to his own man, being his own person, you know. But no, to answer your question, Matisse, sports TV. I think that Stevenson just needs to show people he's great. That's what I think. I think he needs to take every fight available to him. I think he needs to reevaluate himself physically because if his hands are no good, well, he needs to take the biggest fights possible and get out the game because if you can't punch and you can't fight, if you can't punch, you can't fight, really. Bivol showed how to bully him. Stevenson's hands are made out of pie crust. Bro, I seen him fight the electrician that he fought? He fought the electrician, right? He hurt his hands there. You seen him hurt him. He was already shaking them because he hurt him. And Stevenson, man, he's impaired. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. I know he's a good fighter. I mean, he's a good boxer, should I say. I don't know about fighter. But he's a good boxer. And I don't know who's the best. I'm honestly ashamed of everybody there, which sucks for me because if you guys remember, I used to do a lot of content on Ryan and Tio and not Stevenson as much, but Devin Haney and Lomachenko. Lomachenko's retired, rightfully so. Javante, yeah. So those guys are not fighting each other. So it's a whole stable of fighters that are potential superstars in the sport that just drop the ball. They drop the ball, bro. Where is the fight, Javante versus Stevenson? I don't know. You tell me. Kurt, I was disappointed when he didn't take the Devin fight at 35. Yeah, well, that's the reason right there. Guys, that's why I don't really cover Tio, and Tio turned down $11 million. You fool. And then this is the same dude a few years ago retiring from the sport of boxing because he was complaining about the money that he wasn't getting. Now this motherfucker sitting around saying that he ain't gonna fights like Tio, like, and the whole thing is like he hanging out with Jaya Pataya. What makes me sick about that, you got Jaya Pataya and you got Tio, and they're sitting down side by side, and you're seeing two different fighters from two different weight classes with two different mentalities. Tio's pretending he's a warrior. Jaya's trying to show people that I am one. He's consistent. He's fighting his mandatories. He's still kicking ass. He's knocking people the fuck out. And he's still been ducked to this day. Whereas Tio is turning down fucking multi-million dollar fights. Those guys are not alike. And I really cringed when I seen them together. This is facts. I saw that shit yesterday. I didn't make a video on it. I should have, but I didn't. Because I just seen such, that is so different in contrast. One dude they both are known by Turkey Al-Sheikh, right? They're both known by him. But Tio, has said things, dictator, and calling Turkey a dick and all this and that, and been half canceled, but then turning fights down where he could have made $11 million, and he's turning them down. I have no respect for no one that calls himself anything that they don't do. That's like if you are a plumber, but you don't show up at work. Well, eventually you're going to get fired. You know? You're going to become an unemployed plumber. Kurt, I want to believe Shakur, but his actions aren't following his words of late. None of them are. None of them. The only person that I know that's actually still fighting is Devin Haney. You have to give Devin Haney his props because Devin Haney is still fighting fights. What's Tio doing? What's Stevenson doing? What's Ryan doing? What are they doing? It's a honest question. It's a simple one. What in Hades are they doing? Tio should have rematched Loma. Loma deserved a rematch. He didn't do that. Tio, let me tell you something about Tio Fimo. The minute Tio Fimo Lopez, the minute they announced him the winner, he changed just like that. Tio was no longer that same hungry guy. He was no longer the takeover. He was no longer that guy that wanted to show everyone that he's the best. He's no longer that guy that showed you the little deal that he went from each side corner. Because when I saw Tio, I genuinely liked Tio. Because I said, okay, this dude here, he's different. You know, and he said he was going to do something and he did it. And when he did it, it was done. That was the problem. He did it and he succeeded. I remember a girlfriend telling me this once upon a time. Shout out to D. D told me, she said, Kurt, I'm not afraid if you fail. I'm afraid if you succeed. You know what I mean? And I was like, the fuck you mean by that? Whatever, right? I didn't really catch it at the time, but it makes sense now. If you apply that to someone with a goal or with a dream or with a path, and they actually get to that, they get that goal and they get to that path, what do they do when they get there? We've seen that with Tio. Tio beat Lomachenko. Lomachenko then wanted a rematch, naturally. Well, it is his fault, though. His mistake, should I say. He should have had, being the A side, he should have had a rematch clause in the contract. It should have been contractual, and it was not. That was his mistake. And it was a big one. Because what he didn't know is he was dealing with someone where their ceiling is only as high as that goal. And that's Tio. Tio's whole soul thing was to do what? Beat Lomachenko, the great Lomachenko. The amateur king turned pro in 3 fights, Chenko. The Nomaschenko. The Matrix. He wanted to beat Lomachenko, and he did it. And guess what? Game over. The takeover was over. That's it. He didn't show you anything else after that. He ain't been the same since. And as soon as he won, he turned into a Devo. Oh yeah, he turned into a Devo. He turned into a person that was bigger than rematches. He turned into a person that didn't want to seal the deal. He turned into a person that people start not liking. Yeah. Then what happened the very next fight? He went to fight Kambosos. His ego was so big. The fight changed so many like networks. He went from what was it supposed to have been on? What was it supposed to have been on? Because he fought. They ended up fighting on DAZN, but it was supposed to have been on ESPN and all this, but it didn't. Tio probably don't need the money, I guess. Kurt, do you think elite fighters are hiding behind their promoters instead of dealing directly with Turkey? Well, I think they all are. I think they've been doing that for a long time. Or just, I would like to think they weren't smart enough to take it into their own hands. And then some fighters just expected their promoters doing their job. Bryce Productions, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. were going to get them places they thought that they would get them, and they didn't. So therefore, the fights didn't happen. But Tio didn't do anything since. Tio got his ass whooped the next fight. Very next fight. They offered him, Bob, I want to offer you, Tio, the rematch between Lomachenko for multi-million dollars. He turned it down. His dad told him, hey, Tio, you need to get that, bro. You need to get that paper. Get that cheddar, bro. He turned it down. So he denied counsel of his father. He denied counsel of his promoter. He did not want to fight Lomachenko. It didn't matter what it was. He did not want to fight him. You remember that? And then the next fight, his ass got beat. Kambosos, 19-0 Kambosos from Australia, beat his ass. And then he turned into a bitch after that. Oh, I won that fight, yo. I won that fight. This is bullshit. I won that fight. And see, and after that, complaints started. You know what I mean? A lot of other stuff did start, which I do really feel bad about Tio, because Tio could have, Tio was in a lot of mental health issues. I mean, his girl left him, and then I think their family was draining them dry for money. Then I think because of that, he started complaining about money. But then yet you turn down all this money before that's no longer available because you're no longer the takeover. You're no longer the champion at that point. No more. Because you got beat by Kambosos and he took all the belts. You know what I mean? And he even offered for a rematch. Guess what, people? Tio was too good for that. He was too good for that shit. So Tio, you can't feel sorry for Tio. You know what I mean? And then he started doing stupid shit, but, showing who he was. What's the guy's name that's in a shitload of trouble now? Keyshawn Davis. Sending shit with like monkey bananas and watermelon at Keyshawn's doorstep or some shit like that. Yeah, our hotel room. Yeah, he was doing that. He was behind that. So they say. I don't know if he, but then whatever monkey wants the banana and all that. So Tio really screwed himself, dude. Kurt, if Tio doesn't lock in, he'll be the next Adrian Broner. Yeah, he'll be the next Adrian Broner. That's exactly the route that he's going behind. He's moving in that direction. You'll see him hang out with Adrian Broner drunk somewhere hearing their papa. And their papa half high with the coke throat and shit. Talking about, there's two legends, yo. Two legends of the sport. Fighting every round. Yeah. I just watched Face Off and Tank looked like he regretted agreeing to the fight, seeing the size of Jake. No, I think he regretted seeing that because people are getting at his ass. They're getting on him. They're digging all in his ass at this point. Pause. They are. See, Davis knows he's doing it for the money. And he's getting, and what he's going through now is the backlash. So guess what? If sticks and stones won't break your bones and the words will never hurt you. If sticks and stones, they may break your bones, but if the words don't hurt you, this shouldn't bother him. But obviously it is. Kurt, if Shakur doesn't get Tio, where can he go from there? There's nobody for him to fight. Because see, if Brian Norman knocks out, if he knocks out Devin Haney, which wouldn't be a bad thing, because I think those guys, Devin Haney's fought pretty much everybody that he could fight. Those guys, the Garcias, Garcia was juicing. And he didn't make himself better by losing. You let Rolly Romero beat your ass if you want people to believe that you were clean that whole time when you failed 2 drug tests. Sample A, sample B came back the same way with the same shit on it. Now, I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but Ryan Garcia started talking about mental illness. You know what gives you mental illness? Drug use, alcohol abuse, substance abuse. That's what gives you mental health issues. Drugs affect the way your mind and body work. So That being said, that's what hurt him. Devin, just as Tio, was afraid the old man Loma and did not come out of revenge. Devin beats flat. Devin Badal flashed his heels. Well, I think Devin lost, but Devin stayed in there. Devin, I thought. Here's the thing. Here's the reality of it. Probably the most skillful fighter is Shakur Stevenson. Unfortunately for Shakur is a guy. Shakur is a guy that's damaged. He doesn't have any more. I don't think he has any more punches. I know Floyd beat Logan, but Tank is not Floyd. And Jake is better than Logan. I mean, it's going to be a big fight regardless, though. I mean, we talk all this shit about it, but Tank and Jake Paul, they're going to watch. Is it ideal? No. But Jake Paul, if he's going to do anything, it's going to be against someone big. You know what I mean? He's going to be in there with someone now big, and it shows you that if you have someone selling out to the point like Javante, he's just showing you who he is. He doesn't care about people that want him to fight the best. The mockery of the sport has began. It's began a long time ago. And Tank Davis is just showing us that he's a part of that in crowd of people that doesn't care about fights or competition. Because see, if he fights Devin Haney, if he fights Shakur Stevenson, if he loses to either one of those after losing a Roach, because he lost a Roach, he's finished. And I think Tank knows that. I think Tank knows as soon as he loses, y'all just want me to lose. Yeah, you sound like Floyd. As soon as he loses, he gets a loss, people will stop caring. Because, I mean, people honestly don't like Tank anyway. Have you noticed that? People don't like Tank Davis. Kurt, who wins? Moses Atoma versus Jarrell Miller. Moses Atoma should win, but if he can't take a punch, then he will lose. That's just simple. We don't really have to harp on that too much. Ryan Garcia, Haney, Shakur, Stevenson, Javante, Tio are great era, whereas the fights. Therefore, it's not a great era. It's not a great era at all. You had a great potential for a great era, but we didn't see the fights. Those guys are pushing 30 now. Tio's 28. How old is Ryan? Tank's 30, 31. Devin, how old is Devin? I agree 100%. You are the same guy who hits the light pole. Kurt, will Boots fight a top guy next? How can he come? Bro, it's becoming a trend of those guys. They're not fighting. And if you don't fall in line with what you know to do to make you a star, you won't be one. You know who Boots Ennis is to me? Boots Ennis is a switch-hitting version of Jared Swift Hurd. Remember him? You guys remember him, right? The guy that actually beat Ennis Lara? Right? The guy that got knocked out by J. Rock Williams? That guy. You remember him? This is what Tank has no losses. Tank has a draw, which should have been a loss. So he didn't win every fight. So, no, he doesn't officially have any losses. You're right. There was a dude hitting a light pole for hours, but you're not him. My bad. Boxing is not about who likes you. That's true. But then when you lose, then everyone that paid to see you lose won't pay to see you lose no more because you've lost. That makes sense. Tank has no losses like a Mayweather. No, Mayweather had no draws either. Terrence Crawford has no draws either. You see the difference? Mm-hmm. Hurd was a weight bully. Damn, you can say the same thing about Boots Ennis. Kurt, will Keyshawn be decent? I mean, he can. I think he's a very talented fighter, but if he can leave the bitch shit alone, if he can leave the bitch shit alone, he'll be fine. Jake is going to beat Tank, period. And what kind of fight will it be? Is it a 12-round fight? Is it a 8-round fight? What is it? Why so high? Abdul Wadud. Kurt, what is the best division to you right now? The best division right now is light heavyweight to me. Light heavyweight. They have the best fighters, I feel, the most talented, the most tested. You know, David Benavidez is there, Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, Anthony Yard. You still have you have Smith there. Smith is there. Buatsi's there. You know, you got some man. Light heavyweight, I think, is the best division right now. It's 10 3-minute rounds. Okay, cool. Appreciate you, Bryce and Skrilla. It's an exhibition, but there will be a decision if it goes the distance. Okay. Ten 3-minute rounds. If I was Javante, I would have made it 12. Because, see, Logan's not, I don't think he's accustomed to 12 rounds. I mean, I'm sorry, Jake. I don't think Jake's accustomed to 12 rounds. Okay, what division is heating up? 154 is doing well, but then see, the problem is you got Jared, or should I say Jerron Ennis. He's not showing us nothing. He's just showing us a bunch of bullshit. He is. If you look at him, who's he fighting? He's supposed to fight Virgil Ortiz. You have so many fights for him. Madataliev, Victor Ortiz. Who else is there? Boachuk. He could go to war with Boachuk. We just seen Boachuk go to war. You have Mark Madoff. Not Mark. Is it Mark Madoff? Israel Madrimov, right? Madrimov's there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fights that he could fight at 154, and it's like, what are you doing? You're still trying to hang around at 147, big as you are. Jerron Boots Ennis is big as shit. The dude is 6'1", 6'2". The dude is tall. You got Fondora. I don't know about Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu, I feel bad for Tim, but Tim's done. Right? He is finished, dude. Tim Tszyu got beat by Fondora again, and he quit. And it's like, and then he was actually finally starting to land the shots. You know what I mean? It's just, look, that first fight, he did all that bleeding. Then the upset loss to Mudataliev, right? No, it's bad. Kurt, I never seen a champion come up and not fight for a belt immediately. Me neither. But that's what he's doing. I mean, Jerron has to show me something. But I'm not seeing him do anything. So he's on the bitch list. Kurt, the heavyweight division is getting better. You know what? I think that the competition, the pedigree in the heavyweight division right now, I think it's great. But I think the star power, the buzz of heavyweight boxing is dead. You know, I used to think that, man, people just don't care about watching the channel no more. That's not the case. The point is, nobody gives a shit about the same old people that are getting beat that are not fighting. I mean, anybody would get sick of that shit. I know I would. That's why I don't really talk about Tio and Ryan and Devin and Shakur. And I don't talk about them like that because they're not showing me anything. You hear a lot of backwards and forwards. Now, I could make content if I just wanted something to make, but I get tired of that shit, so I don't even want to make content like that. I'm tired of the same shit. Hey, this is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Tio Fimo Lopez and Ryan Garcia. Oh, yeah, they're not fighting. I'm tired of the same shit. You guys tell me what you think, of course, please. I mean, who fucking has time for that? They're doing the same thing. Nothing. If they were doing something that involved fighting and they actually had a fight, okay, then we can start making content about that. But if they're not signing any contracts, they're doing all this talking and not any walking, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about Tio turning down fights. I want to hear about Tio accepting a fight. I don't want to see him troll Terrence Crawford at his conference and him not fighting anyone. Don't use that platform to just be shot down. Use the platform to build yourself up. Kurt, I love boxing, but we need structure. Dana White is needed to be fair. Well, here's the problem with Dana White. Dana White is not going to replace what we already have. And do you think for a second, someone that's trying to snatch away the Ali Act, do you think that's a person that we need in boxing right now based on the pay scale that he was trying to pay boxers? Are you fucking crazy? Dana White's pay scale was 100% garbage. It was pitiful. That meant he didn't even give $1 million to the champion. He gave $765,000. What are you, fucking nuts? So no, I don't think Dana White is the guy to go to make things better in boxing. The only person that's going to make boxing better is a person that's able to snatch and take away everything that boxing has to offer, which is bullshit now, and start anew. You have to Thanos that bitch in order to make something happen in boxing that's supposed to happen in boxing. You can't say boxing is going to change having the same old shit. You can't say that. You have to take it all away. You have to destroy the wheel of boxing and create another mechanism, another vehicle to make boxing move forward. Yeah, some kind of global organization, because people, this is not the NBA, this is nothing national, because it involves world nationalities, nations combined. So you need something global. You don't need a national team. You know, you see what I'm saying? You don't need any of that. That's true, Kurt. I love his fight model as far as the best and mandatory is not the business side. Well, people are not going to fall for it. Why should anyone that's making $2 or $3 to $5 million a fight, why, even if you're an Al Heyman fighter, you will make eventually $2 or $3 million for a pay-per-view after the pay-per-views come in which will take you 6 months to a year to get your final check. But why would you leave that for Dana's bullshit? Why would you? You wouldn't. People have lifestyles that they have become accustomed to. Buying high expensive ass cars they don't need. Buying clothes they don't need. Buying jewelry they don't need. Buying houses and shit that they don't need, but they want, so they buy them. Right? So that's what it is. Hold on a second. Wait, Kurt, the real problem is sanctioning bodies not upholding their rules, which is disrupting boxing. That's one of the problems, yeah. You know, the 3%, the sanctioning fees and all that shit, yeah, that's a problem. Did Charlie Kirk get accustomed to his recent lifestyle? I mean, I don't know. I don't know much about Charlie Kirk. I've seen some clips that he was in and he debated at colleges and his ass got shot. That's what I know about Charlie Kirk. That's it. You know, for those who supported him, okay, I'm pretty sure you got your reasons, but this is not the time, neither the platform to talk about Charlie. You know? Now, I made a video about it on a totally different channel, on a totally different platform, and it was about him, but not here. Counterpunch. So there you go. Bakare Jolof versus Philip Herkovic would be good for boxing. It won't happen though. A fight like that won't happen, and I see Jolof if he can take punches, knocking out Philip Herkovic. He'll outpoint Philip Herkovic easy just based on his style. I see him able to navigate around Philip, avoid his shots, and land his own. He's big enough, tall enough, you know. And Philip is not a guy that I feel that can cut the ring off like that. He would have to cut the ring off of Jolof to be even competitive against Jolof. Now, I'll say this. You'll say, why'd you say that? Because you guys remember what was the guy that Moses knocked out? The Australian guy. What was his name? Um, I'll forget his name right now. But he gave Philip Hergovic so many problems. I never heard of Charlie. It was a gruesome video. Kurt, what's your other channel? Kurt DeVille. You know, the Kurt DeVille channel is a default channel that has a lot of my uncle stuff on it. So my Uncle C, if you wanted to watch Uncle C's stuff, you can go to Fresh One Media or you can go to my other channel, Kurt DeVille. It's either one or the other. Dempsey McKean, thank you. Dempsey McKean he showed me that Philip Hergovic knows nothing about cutting off the ring. He was terrible at that shit. He finally got a knockout, and it wasn't really a knockout. It was him landing some good shots at the very end of the fight in the 12th round. And he ended up landing shots to Dempsey McKean, and they ended up closing that show. He didn't even go down, Dempsey McKean. I don't even think he went down. I think he stunned him. He buzzed him. He buckled Dempsey McKean, but he didn't do what Moses did. Moses Atoma flattened that boy. You see what I'm saying? So, no, I don't think because of guys with the style of like Dempsey McKean, you know what I mean? The real mobile, fighting on his tippy toes and shit. No, I don't think so. Kurt, what's your thought on Kid Austin? Is he legit or will he be exposed as another golden cherry? We'll see. We'll see. I don't watch boxing. I mean, I don't watch wrestling. Oof, I don't watch boxing. I don't watch wrestling. Joey Keating, hello from Dubois, Dublin, Ireland. Counterpunch to you, Joey. Counterpunch to you, Ireland in the building. That's what I'm talking about. I need to get back to Ireland. Just to have some Murphys and some Guinness, and some shots of proper 12, a Jameson. They'll be dope. I just see myself getting into the biggest fight in Ireland. You know what I mean? Like and look, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of nice people in Ireland. When I went to Ireland, bro, I just kind of just linked up casually, just talking to people. So yeah, big up to Ireland, bro. Got a lot of family in Ireland. So yeah, big up Ireland. In Dublin, Joey. Yeah, in Dublin. Kurt, will the UFC White House be legit? Is that happening? I have no idea. Bro. No idea. Abdullah Mason versus Thurman, a good fight. Oh, absolutely. Sean, Abdullah Mason is one of those guys I am looking forward to seeing, though. Yeah, that boy's bad. He's a bad boy. Yeah, he's a bad boy. Abdullah Mason is, he's a guy that I want to see. The Irish like a scrap. Yep. You see somebody, look, you notice somebody, let's say an Irish cat, he's sitting over there and he's on his third pint. He's on his second shot. But it's only 6 o'clock. Shit, by 9 or 10, he looking over my big ass. And he's looking over there and he's thinking. He's looking over there and he's thinking. And he's looking over there and he's thinking. And if you look at him and you take notice of him watching you, then you're looking at him. See, yeah, it's easy. You're a disgrace. Oh, fucking, I'll give you a walloping. Come out of there ready to, ready to die from a fist fight. Now, and it would be my objective to put him in the fucking ground. You know what I mean? Kurt, shouldn't Keyshawn have fought for a title at 140? Is Top Rank shelving him for his actions? I don't know. I don't know. That wasn't too smart what he did, though. That bully jump him bullshit. Let me tell you guys something, man, about that. True story. I was just thinking about this yesterday. I remember in it was probably like 97. I got in a fight with a guy. Well, no. Let's get that shit right. I was witnessing a fight. And the fight was trying to be broke up between two guys that I knew. And it was in this dusty ass hotel, and the guy, he was a little bit too drunk, which sometimes the best thing for a drunk person is to knock his ass out and put him to sleep. Because some people that are drunk, they're saturated with spirits, and they're intoxicated, they're not in the right mind. You know what I'm saying? And it's no excuse, though, because he was fighting this guy and they were fighting, and we broke them up. So we went to leave that house because we were leaving or whatever. And we seen another friend go in and try to talk to the guy. And as he was talking to the guy, he was taking too long, so I'll go back in there. And then the guy that was trying to resolve the issue with the drunken guy hits the drunken guy, drops him, 2-piece, pop, pop. And when he drops him, he gets up, and my friend, the one that hit him, he leaves. Well, the guy's getting up, and then he starts talking shit at me. Now, this is where it went south, because he said some things to which I won't repeat, but it was something definitely worth kicking down his door. And he had one of those like single pane doors, one of them cheap ass doors, bro. And understand, we had all been drinking. So nobody was sober, but he was just drunk. And yeah, I spar at times, Alex. It's been a while, but yeah, I spar. So he goes and he slams the door at me after saying what he said. You know, I kick in the door and I hit him. And then I hit him again and I hit him again. And I seen all these other guys croak. So it wasn't me kind of jumping or needed help. It was basically all these guys, they just thought it was a good idea to jump him, which I don't necessarily agree with that. Looking at that now, like, no, I got him. You know, no, you know what I mean? Because that, you know, because if he wanted to get, because he tried to square up at me and I put him down. And when I put him down, I hit him again. And then all these other guys came from the car because we were waiting to leave. The car was running, okay? And they come in, and this is in 1997. So I'm young as shit. Knucklehead, right? So they all come in and start beating him up. And I thought to myself, like, I tried to justify, well, he shouldn't have said that, but, well, you know, he shouldn't have got jumped. Nah, I didn't do a rampage, nah. But some rampage shit was done to him. And, you know, this is, you know, damn near 30 years ago. Wow. Right? But needless to say, it happened. Well, fast forward 8 years. I was in a club. A fight breaks out. Fight breaks out. And, you know, the thing about bar fights, especially fights like that are uncontrollable, they just get stupid. And I got jumped that night. And I remember, you know, what it's like to participate in jumping someone and then getting jumped. None of that shit's cool. It's all cowardly. Kurt, why am I saying this? I'm saying all this to say the shit that Keyshawn Davis did with his brothers was some bullshit. Because I know what it's like to jump somebody and I know what it's like to get jumped. And none of that shit's cool on either side. You know what I mean? Because if you jump someone, you're a fucking coward. You're jumping someone. You need 3 or 4 people to jump on one person. That's a fucking coward. Or you're getting jumped and you know what it's like to be attacked by a bunch of people that are fucking cowards. So, you know, either way you look at it is bad, right? Either way you look at it, either side of that coin is bad. So, that being said, you know, what they did was bullshit. Your brother got beat. He got his ass beat. He had no inside game. He couldn't anything from mid range. He couldn't do shit on the inside. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't do anything with that fight, and that fighter whooped his ass. And they thought, well, let's get him back because we feel a certain type of way. Nah, this ain't no after school fucking fight. This isn't this dumb backyard bullshit neighborhood malarkey. This is a sanctioning fight that your brother got paid to fight and he got his ass whooped. So there was no reason for you to retaliate because you didn't like what the officials had to say. Because just because it was their card didn't mean that you guys had the right to, oh, I feel that he should have won. You don't win just because it's the card. Now, politics would have you, would have that be the narrative any day of the week. Most of the time, it's just when you see someone get their ass beat round after round after round after round, like his brother was doing. Oh yeah. Hey. Kurt, do you believe that Shakur and Keyshawn are really brothers? I would love to see that fight. I don't know. Chris M, what's up, Kurt? What's happening? Kurt, shout out from the UK. Me and my daughter listen to your videos in the car. She is 11, an unbeaten amateur. who is going nationals this year. Maybe one day you'll see her on TV. Chris M, tell your daughter whatever her name is, big up and counterpunch to her. And congratulations. XK shot. Shit happens. Beer usually has a lot to do with it. Yeah, man, we were on board beer though. You know, we were smoking weeds, popping pills and Xanaxes and shit. So yeah, it wasn't just beer. Yeah. So it is what it is. Kurt, shouldn't Keyshawn have fought for a title at 140? Hey, Shrek. Who's Shrek? Damn. Is it because of the green? Kurt, who takes Crawford's place as next great? If couldn't tell you, man. I mean, I think it's whoever is probably, because see, the same thing happened with Manny. The same thing happened with Floyd. Nobody thought those guys were going to be who they were going to be 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Because even 20 years ago, Floyd wasn't even Floyd Money Mayweather. He was pretty boy, but he wasn't that guy still. He was undefeated. He had beat everybody that's ever been in the ring with him. And that was that. You see what I mean? So we still had people we held on to since the 90s. You know, the Tysons, the Joneses. I mean, Roy Jones, meaning, right? Because there's a lot of Joneses, you know. But Junior Jones and all those. But no. So we still had people that we looked up to because the people that watched boxing 20 years ago, in 2005, were some of the same people that watched boxing in the 80s and the 90s. And then the early 2000s, the early to mid 2000s, people still watched boxing. You know, because you still had the De La Hoyas, you still had the Sugar Shane Mosleys, and those guys, all of them fought in the 90s. So you had these guys that were known based on their status in the amateurs, based on what they were able to do and what they did, and people kind of followed them. The Trinidads, the Vargases. You know what I mean? If you were a rough, you know, hard, nasty cholo, right? If you were from Oxnard or you just identified with the troubled kid like Fernando was, El Firos was, you could identify with Fernando. If you were that guy that liked you clean-cut Mexican that was from East Los, or you was Chicano, or you just liked the idea of De La Hoya going through the ranks and his story with his mother and, you know, getting the gold Olympian and then becoming this icon, if you could relate to that. So it was room for everybody. The Roy Joneses, the Bernard Hopkins, and even Bernard Hopkins, he became known faster than Floyd was. He was older and he did things quicker than Floyd did. It took Floyd 2006-07 to even fight Oscar De La Hoya. He fought him on the 7th of May, 2007. BoxRec has Inoue and Nakatani as the two top pound for pound. I think they're top 5 or 6, but not above Crawford. Yeah, you know, I think the pound for pound is basically who you follow as far as divisions. Because let's say you're not even a welterweight fan, you are a fan of smaller weights, which the crazy thing was, that's all I watched. I love to watch a nice scrap back and forth between two flyweights, two featherweights, two lightweights, because they're going to go toe to toe. But one thing I notice about the bigger they got, the more powerful they got, the more punches meant something. When they land at left and a right and it puts them on Queer Street, that's what you saw. So I don't know. I think it depends on the weight class. Floyd is a great boxer, but as a person, he is a piece of shit. Doesn't matter. But then again, it does to us, don't we? Because we all have character. Excuse me. Because we all have character. I just got through eating some pizza, dude. Yeah. Who's number one pound for pound? Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is number one pound for pound. Thanks, Kurt. She putting in work. She got given tickets from Conor Ben for the fight at Tottenham last time, hoping he does it again. Hoping he makes an adjustment and go and gets the W. Chris M, man, that's crazy. I hope so too. That's going to be a good fight. That's hilarious of what's going on with Eddie Hearn and Chris Eubank Jr. once again. It's crazy. It's craziness, man. So it is what it is, right? But I think that Conor Ben and Chris Eubank Jr., bro, that's still probably the fight of the year. That's going to be the fight of the year. Because I mean, even the Lester Martinez versus the Christian and Billy fight was one hell of a fight. It's just I think because of who these guys are, because it was so built up, because of the legacy standards, because of the expectation, and we got that shit. Oh yeah, that's the fight of the year because they lived up to every box was checked. The only thing here's the thing: you can argue that Conor won. So I hope this fight will produce a knockdown or a knockout, something decisive, something that lets us know who is a solid winner. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was a heck of a fight. XK shots, it was a heck of a fight. I like that. I'm trying not to use profanity as much, trying to cut it out. So I'm trying to improve my vernacular. Eddie was sneaky using Hatton's death to try to. I heard that, Chris. So I don't even know. I did a video on it, so I really don't even know, man. I don't know, but I gotta hop off of here. But I hope you guys have a blessed day, a blessed Tuesday. I will see you guys live tomorrow as well. I want to do at least 3 to 4, 3 times a week live for you guys. So stay tuned for that next live tomorrow, Wednesday, hump day for a lot of people. Same time as it were. And you guys be blessed. And everyone on the chat, lovers, haters, participators, and all the above, has been counterpunched. Peace.